Hi, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 o'clock, it's time to get started. Come over. First thing we want to do is make an adjustment to the agenda. We're going to have an executive session at the end of tonight's meeting. I need a motion for that, or not?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to amend the motion.
We got a motion made by Andy to include executive session after the council meeting tonight, and second by Dean Brandon. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries. We'll have executive session after the meeting tonight.
Mr. Mayor, for clarity, that will be for land acquisition.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not specify the reason.
No, it's good.
Okay, the first thing tonight, we have a public hearing for zoning and variance, and Joe, you want to start that?
Yes, I'll do it. Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, I call for a public hearing now regarding requests regarding property located at 292 Railroad Avenue, tax parcel BD 1044. Douglas Collins seeks to, 1, rezone the property from agricultural to a multifamily residential district to allow residential use, and 2, a variance to allow 1 manufactured home, mobile home on the parcel. The process we will follow, I will call the applicant forward to explain the request to council. I will then ask, is anybody here to speak in favor of the request? If you're here to speak in favor, that will be your opportunity. I will then ask for those who are here to speak against the request. If you're here to speak against the request, that will be your opportunity. Mr. Collins?
Thanks. I appreciate it, Mayor, Council. Thank you. Very simple request. We're taking a lot, 92 Railroad Avenue, moving it so that we can actually put a livable house on there. We've taken down the house that was there, that was falling in. We've increased it. We've cleared it off the land, made it better. We actually have acquired a piece, so it'll be a complete property that'll be clean, look good. Housing we're going to put on it will provide somebody with good housing. We believe it upgrades the property, and would ask your approval.
Question from council of the applicant, what the applicant's requesting.
You plan on putting the house out, so.
We're showing sale.
Okay,
Yes, yeah, so we'll be making it very nice to sell.
Will it be just one home or?
Yes. Yeah, we don't want any more.
Look at all those like.
Cost is
Yeah, we're going to get somebody a good home in Lula, and
The rumor going around is your daughter was, I said, wait, he's going to sell his house.
no, we're selling. Yes.
So just to make sure the council's clear about, this particular is a variance to allow for a double wide on a rezoned property. If you were to approve the R3, then you would recognize the variance second.
Our does not have a manufactured.
Not in the current zoning, no.
And we were surprised that they still had an agricultural start with it anyway. But through the staff and everyone, has been, my understanding is always to make sure we got this done. So we appreciate it. Anything else? We have.
Anyone here to speak in favor of this request?
Appreciate it.
Anyone to speak in favor? Come up, please, sir.
It's a nice idea to have a nice mobile home than a junky house. Yeah, he went and tore it all down, and it looks good down there. So I'd like you to give him this variance. Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in favor of the request? Anyone to speak in favor? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to the request? Anyone to speak against? And the public hearing is closed. If council has any more questions, Mr. Collins remains available to answer.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Get a little larger crowd and get this bigger. We'll start off with the invocation. We will have a pledge. I'll give an invocation tonight. Very much pray. Dear Father, thank you for the thank you for the opportunity to come together and express our opinions, express our views, and to make decisions good decision on behalf of the city. Help us to make the best decisions. Best decisions each and every day.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna have to set a time, my wife changed rules with the citizen college, they take something that they wait too long, we're gonna limit it to 3 minutes. I'll set a timer, so, tell city guard, try to keep your comments on top of the agenda tonight. If it's something that's not on the agenda tonight, you not gonna comment early, at the end of it, you said at the beginning of the meeting. Anybody have anything to say?
Citizen comment?
Yes, sir, 3 minutes.
Okay. I have problem with privilege you gave me to serve on the Lewis City Council for 20 years. I'm also proud to know that we have leaders such as our mayor, our city councilmen and women, and our city manager, as well as our city clerk, and all others such as our code officers. These folks are not elected to rule and punish, but to do all they can to help our city become the best place to live and prosper. They are also in a position to help the homeless or anyone else who needs advice and help in city relations. I hope we all carefully consider how we communicate our concerns in places that we disagree. Honest people different, but they can communicate effectively their concerns in such a way that everyone wins. To all of our city officials, regardless of the position they hold, to all the citizens of Louisville, please entertain the following suggestions in encountering the homeless people in our area. It is not our first duty to harm or disgrace the homeless, but to find and suggest ways to hear and understand what we can do, help to make their lives better, so we can live peace and prosperity. We all become better listeners so we can take the necessary steps to try and bring about a brighter life than they have had in the past. I also suggest that we help the homeless place of residency. Low-rent housing is available in some cities, and transportation to job site critical. If we do all these things, we will bless our efforts to help others just as we like to be helped if we were in the same situation. None of us is promised tomorrow a road paved with popcorn. It is easy to judge when we have all we need. But even if we're not laying at our place now, it certainly could be someday, and when the storm of life hits, we all need a certain shelter. That is what God has asked us to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. But facing the storm, we can ask ourselves, what is your hands? The homeless, as well as all people, regardless of the personal situation, should try to find people in places that can help in challenging times. Certain municipalities should list avenues, opportunities, making this information available. Who knows what changes can be accomplished when we all work together? Taking the first steps is always the hardest, but with each next step, we are all closer to our goal, making life better for everyone. Take care, and God will bless you.
Okay. 3 minutes.
That's okay.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have anything you want to say? Okay.
I got one. This is like working on. Anyway. Hey,
Okay.
but anyway, on the park, on the baseball field, here. I think y'all can hear me. Hey, okay, on the baseball field, over here, if it's all right, can I take that baseball concession stand, fix it up? I'd like y'all to consider that. at my own cost, it won't cost the city nothing. Let me paint it red like I did with the other building, and, rewire everything. I gotta buy a hot water heater, have it where the general public can use it. You know, where we can invite kids, where we can have a nice concession stand. If y'all could consider that, you know, and I would fix it up in my own time, my own money. Okay, thank you.
You want me to send that to the Parks and Rec Committee for discussion, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. They didn't have a meeting this year, right? Time for your meeting. Okay, marriage. Oh, I could skip minutes, everybody ready for minutes? Anybody got any changes to the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion on that, any for
I'll
minutes?
second.
Second by Daisy Johnson, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, by hand. Minutes are approved. Yard of the month, we're doing a blooming and bloom celebration for May and June. And, these recipients get a credit on the water bill. And, here's the, list for this month. District 1 got Evan and Joanne Cash, 5967 Tune Street. District 2 is 5444 Waterman Court, I can't remember the name of the people over there. District 3 got Wanda G, 6810 Beltridge Place. District 4, Joseph Matega Dodd, 6556 Grove Street. And then,
I have land, I just don't have the, I mean, I don't have the name, but I apologize.
got the address? All
I'll
right.
have that too tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. Okay, that's that. Okay,
Mr. Mayor, we had one other offer that we wanted to present, was a program for June and July, and I've thrown that in. It's called Show Us Your Colors. Lula, Cassie, you want to hand that out real quick? And roughly what this is the idea is, you know, patriotism seems to be waning in some places, but certainly not in Lula, and this would be a reward where we would offer, you know, recognizing June is, I believe June 14th, I may be wrong, June 10th, I'm sorry.
No, June 14th is
Is Flag Day, and then of course July 4th. This would be an easy rollover, easy to promote. We have a ton of materials for it, and we actually have flags at City Hall that we could sell at a discount. But when I say at a discount, go buy a flag today and see what it costs. We can sell them to you for $8 because that's what we pay for them. But I think this is a great promotion. I appreciate Cassie bringing this forward, something easy to promote. And wouldn't it be great if every house had a flags, you know, like I said, we recognize Flag Day, we could start as early as Memorial Day. I think Cassie was your idea as well as run it, you know, through July 4th. I think it's a no-brainer. What's y'all's thoughts?
I say we do it.
let me understand this. Register to win this, it's not gonna be a.
So everybody who has to register, if you buy a flag up, you'll have to register on the website. We'll promote that. And then your option, the council's option would be is to recognize both June and July, or just one time.
We're doing blooming and blooming.
Right, it goes into June, so it's your option.
So will this be a drawing or will?
It would be a drawing.
Okay.
Y'all would make the drawing in July.
I say we do this June and July and then keep the bloom in for June also.
Logan?
So moved, yeah. That's in the motion.
I'll second that.
Got a motion made by Pat and second to have somebody move to
That's why it works.
It doesn't work good then. Anyway, we'll have a motion made and seconded to have a short colors contest in addition to a boom and boom contest.
And we've got some really cool information that will support it.
We'll post more of this on the website and other places throughout towns. Any more discussion, if you don't, any more questions about this, or we will go on, we'll adopt this thing, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, let in? Okay. So we're gonna be doing both of them, right, okay? All right. Down to finance, I guess, on the, Jim's L4 money on there.
I'll bore you for a little while anyway. Bank balances are good. Water and sewer is the one I would push forward. We actually, as we said, the fourth quarter takes a beating, so in the third and fourth quarter we just paid liability insurance as well as workers' comp, which put a hit on that account. Nonetheless, we've also had some council approved items that have been above and beyond in operations, which is fine. Nonetheless, bank balances do stay constant. We did pay back $54,243 year to date under council contingency that y'all had previously approved. We'll keep you abreast of that. We'll probably make adjustments at the end of the year. This is an acquisition of land as well as, for sewer line I primarily, almost every bit of it is, as well as the additional engineering that's required on it. Other than that, if y'all have any questions about that item, it's a big deal. Somebody in the room signed that check the other day. She noticed right away, which is what we want her to do. Nonetheless, general fund. So we're finishing up the year. We only have 14% of the budget to be remaining historically, and we're in pretty good shape. As you hear me say every meeting, we were fortunate enough to receive $540,000 this year in grant dollars, and that kind of throws the numbers off. That money's been allocated for capital improvements. That'll be an adjustment at the end of the year. In reality, where we should have 14% remaining when you subtract that 540,000 plus the other grant money we've gotten, we actually are about 5% remaining, so we've had a pretty good year in that regard as far as revenue under the general fund. Under expenditures, which is the most important part, same thing. We're hitting the numbers pretty good, especially with the changes the council has approved this year and some of the improvements, where we should be running about 5%. We have 11% remaining, so you're about 6% ahead, or you're $98,000 ahead year to date. And we don't have the current loss dollars posted yet, but that's coming soon. Water and sewer, again, where we ought to be running at about 14% remaining. As you know, we've far exceeded our sewer tap revenue, so we budgeted $125,000. We're over that by $195,000. We've actually collected $320,000. So I knocked $195,000 out of that. So it gives you a real picture of what's going on, where we should be at about 14% remaining. We're at about 12% remaining. I've already talked to you about water revenue. We're going to have to look at some adjustments for that because it's the only one that's not meeting the mark. Sewer is, all our other revenue streams are hitting the mark. And then more importantly, on expenditures, where we should be, you think we're doing this on purpose, where we should be at 12%, we are at 13% when you knock all the other numbers out, and we actually have a positive cash flow of $20,000 once you reimburse anything. Does anybody have any questions for me on that? We've got a little bit more to talk about on finance. So, loss negotiations will begin Tuesday, May 24th. At 1 o'clock, the mayor received his official letter today on that. So that'll be based, loss negotiations are based on the services you provide as well as your population, and neither of which are going to change that much. Our biggest challenge has been for us is the census data didn't support where we thought we were on population. Finance committee meeting proposed Wednesday, May 18th. Martin, is that going to be available for you? Because I know we've given you a memo and some emails.
Possible.
All right. So that'll work with the finance committee. We'll also meet on Friday the 20th at 3:30. And then from that point, the budget work session will begin with the idea that the finance committee can make some recommendations back. We'll prepare a budget that'll be heard by the full council on the 8th of June. And I would suggest that it's going to be a 2-hour plus meeting because we'll go over every line. Hopefully we'll be in a position to answer questions. Then that would allow, if that's the case, we actually have a true budget on the 8th, then we'll advertise, actually, Joey will advertise the 13th of June to be the public hearing, and the 20th with possible adoption. That's assuming everything falls into place. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good news is, I told you we were worried about the air conditioner at City Hall. It's a 1997 Ford. I'll get miles out of that. It's still kicking, so good for us. The next item would be every 3 years or so, we trade in some of our equipment. Some's the Skags, the lawnmowers we use, and some is the chipper, as an example. And the reason you trade them in is because you get your best value for them. We did not trade in last year. And that had a lot to do with what the available market was. Nonetheless, we've looked at Skags and the availability. We're trying to get 2 different prices for it, one of which I haven't got another price on yet. But nonetheless, the example I'd give you is you trade them in today with the number of hours on them, you can get up to $6,000 a piece for them. The last time we traded them in, we had a little less hours on them, we would get $7,200 a piece. You can see in a year's period of time, that's what you lose. What you need to know is we get state pricing. So it doesn't matter where you buy them from, it matters what you get on trading. So that's the key for this. And I can tell you that if you drop them, if you run another year on these, you can expect to lose another $2,000 credit. And that's when we start running into, we're outside of warranty as well as replacement. So you can imagine the marketplace. You hear on everybody, supply and demand, there's no supply out there. If the council's going to move on this, the exposure we have right now would be about $24,000 for 3. Guess how much a new Skag benchmark costs? $17,799. That's not our price. We get a state bid price on that of $13,883. It's a big deal. It's the same thing we do with the chipper. We won't trade in the chipper this year, it'll be next year, but this is a practice that we've had for any number of years. We didn't think we could get the inventory, and our suppliers that we're talking to, they'll tell you it's not going to be there in 30 days. The inventory's not.
So they have it.
They have it now. Doesn't mean you're going to get it next week. It means they've got commitments for the inventory. It's a matter of what I'd ask the council if this is open to them, that you'd have an amount to replace 3 of them for a not to exceed $24,000 that actually have a lesser price. I'm not trying to publish that price. So we can get the other competitive bid. The bid's going to be, it's all about the number of hours you have on it, what they're trading them out. What's y'all's thought?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the trade.
Not to exceed 24,000.
Not to exceed.
Trade it back for 3 of them.
Right.
Second by Jim Brown. Any more discussion on it? Let's see a vote. Got all in favor of voting, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion carries.
You're making me think with the right left hand here.
His right or your right? Or the other.
Keeps you awake.
Thank you, little help.
Water and sewer current conditions, we have had some fun. Sometimes things work very well and sometimes they question you. So the exploratory well, I talked to y'all about the outline and estimated cost last week. We said that amount would not exceed $80,000. I've actually been able to narrow that price down. The problem is getting the fellow to commit on the well and the access. So I have a price for on groundwater exploration, which is actually the hydrologist. His price for the total bill would not exceed, that's for phases 1 through 5, would not exceed $29,000. So let me stop right there. First phase is groundwater exploration. Second phase is test well drilling observation. Third phase is production and construction. That's assuming the well is suitable. So you've got an expense of about $9,000 there. You have to sign a contract for all the services. We're only going to get charged for what he provides. However, there is some savings there. We estimate that the well drilling at 400 feet would be around $20,000. Our initial engineering for submittals for EPD and approval would be $8,900. So you have somewhere in the vicinity, I'm using the amount of $58,205. I'd ask the council just to approve, you want to go forward with this well for an amount not to exceed $65,000. Our biggest problem is going to be access on that property and creating that access. I need to get the well rigger in there to be able to tell us that, you know, he can get, I think it's easy for him to get to. That's easy for me to say. He's got to get all his equipment back in. All the test well, all the exposure we have on the hydrologist, that we won't pay that if we don't go forward with the test well. There would be more engineering costs because the new engineering will include the design of the water line to come out of the area, as well as the well building, and if it needs filtration. So, we estimate that'll be around $30,000, of which $8,900 you'd be paying up front.
Make a motion to move forward, not to exceed $65,000.
Go down to the well, exploration for $65,000, not to exceed $65,000. Got a second? Second by Bruce, second. Any more discussion on it? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. You got
You
$65,000.
just determined that it's messing that up. All right, so let me tell you about,
I got it. Right.
at 8 o'clock this morning, we had our hands full. Our Chattahoochee well tank wasn't reporting levels. Our Oconee well was shut off, couldn't come back on, and you'll hear about it in a second. We had a discharge over the weekend at one of our pump stations. You know, what I will tell you is, the good news is you've got a good staff that was able to be able to get Chattahoochee tank back online. Oconee well production, we told you we're having issues with that. We're going to replace the pump on that this week. That's about a $12,000 expense, and we're also going to change the meter out on that as well. The meter's 9 years old. I don't think that's part of the problem, but that came with the recommendation. Cloud Street lift station, I told you all that we pulled one of the pumps and had that rewired. That's back in the ground. The motor pump at waste treatment plant. If you caught me one day early last week, and I looked like my world might be coming in, it would have been on the motor pump at wastewater treatment plant. So everything we do at the waste treatment plant is redundant. We don't have one of something, we have two of something. And oftentimes we have three. In this particular case, we have two motor pumps, we have one backup, and then we have one extra motor, none of which are fun. And we were able to get past that and resolve that. The overflow over the weekend was actually off of 5714 Main Lane. Wasn't the pump station actually, wasn't an equipment failure at all. It was the discharge of what somebody had discharged in the system. We call that a minor spill. We report that to EPD. We report that also to the press, so that we get notices on that. We've already done all the cleanup today. I wish it was the type of thing we could prevent, and we can. Don't flush things down the toilet that shouldn't go down the toilet. That's what we can do. So help us on that a little bit. So what we'll do from this point, there's no flow to a creek, but we will continue to monitor. We've already completed all the work up to this point on cleanup, so we'll go from there.
Whoops.
Well, it's one of those you just can't see coming. Like I said, don't flush things down the toilet, shouldn't be done. You want me to touch the next one, number 5?
This wasn't true.
Some of y'all have seen the pictures. Somebody over the weekend actually hit City Hall, ran into it with a car, and we're not sure if considerable amount of damage or not, but they busted up the brickwork in front of the building. We'll have to see how that works out. Fortunately, they were able to catch the person who caused the accident. They left the scene, and they were charged. We're going to wait on getting the accident report. And I have called the constituent and asked them to return the call so we can start process of the insurance and go from there. But anyway, come by City Hall.
So you don't know if they had the insurance or not?
I don't have their incident report, so I can't promise you that they will. But we do. Better than some have had lately.
Got a ball
I wasn't taking no digs at anyone. Anyway, what a shame. Thank goodness we didn't find ourselves. Veterans Park Fountain, so we're having to redo the PLC. I've gotten the PLC part in. What we haven't gotten, the supply case issue, is I have to be able to tie it into our laptop to reprogram it, and we haven't gotten the cord in yet. We thought we received it last Friday with some other parts we had. So cross your fingers, we're anxious to get that back up and running, and as soon as we get that reprogrammed, you'll see the process of it. All I had on that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, it's time for us to think about this rezoning and variance for 292 Railroad Avenue. Anybody got any question or discussion about it?
Make a motion to approve it.
Motion made by Bernie Smith, second by Jim Bradley to approve the rezoning application. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. It's been rezoned from agricultural to R3. Now the variance. We got a discussion about the variance for the mobile home in that lot. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Matt to approve the variance. Second by Jim Bradley. All in favor of approve the variance, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. The variance is passed. Keep going on and enjoy it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
See y'all 20.
Oh, I did. It's on there. Okay.
What's that?
No,
No, well, we covered the staff rate.
Yeah, I-
In the work session, so we're good.
Okay, coming up on the plan commission meeting on June 7th, we will have a proposed annexation and rezoning here for 6232 Ashland Street. The plan commission here then, the council, plan commission here on the 7th, and the council here on the 20th. So that's coming up just later. The plan commission member adjustment, we had a committee recommendation to seat Joshua Addison. All right, we're going in motion, so all in favor of seating Josh Addison to the planning commission, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Josh Addison's a seated. Now, the other part of that was proposing to change the committee council of 5 members to 3, still 3 members. And the council, and the committee said, yes. What was the committee recommendation?
I think the committee recommendation was to approve that.
Approved, going 5, okay.
And the item was tabled last month. We
Okay.
heard this month.
Okay. All right, so, do I hear a motion to consider changing the planning commission from 3 members to 5 members?
I think the recommendation was from.
Oh, was it, okay, all right. Okay, all in favor of increasing the planning commission from 3 members to 5 members, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Randy, you know what we're doing?
You for that or against that?
Um,
Are you for that or against that? To increase the planning commission to 5 members?
You want 5 women?
Is that you want 5 or you don't want 5? I think that, yes.
Say yes for 5, yes for, or no for 5. Yes for 5? Randy, say yes for 5 people?
saying yes?
I mean, they're-
Are you saying yes for 5?
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
The South got two,
Pretend.
South got two, maybe.
Yeah.
With an extension.
We'll leave it at 2-2 and so to stay on the agenda for next month.
That's what's happening, right?
Apparently.
Yes.
Okay, now, we got a rewritten, revised proposal ordinance for, urban camping and improper use of public spaces. Now, is everybody ready to write a copy of it? Any recommendations or
I make a recommendation that we accept the rewritten.
motion made by Denise Shoddy to accept the updated version? That's second by Jim Bradley. Any more discussion on it?
We had 2 comments that we had looked at, section 5, and providing a list of approved assistance. That's something we just want to make public up front. So that upon y'all's adoption, we'll recognize those with Joey's permission to make sure that they're in compliance. And then we need to look at arrest authority, Joey, and you and I can talk about that as far as making sure that where those fall into play. You know, our intentions are, we just want compliance. So a little bit, just want to make sure the verbiage, Mr. Holmes is content with that.
Okay. This sounds like we're still ready to vote on it.
We're still ready to vote on it. And, it was also put on the website, so to make sure that the version that you're considering, and I know we're talking about the revised version, would require, in addition to the warning, that there be contact with the public or private health agency, and that's the list I'll give with Dennis, that one of those agencies be contacted in an attempt to assist the person who receives the warning, and it would be only if the accused fails to comply with the warning and refuses assistance from the designated public health agency before they could be cited or arrested.
We got the motion and second. Any more discussion on it? All in favor of approving this ordinance, raise your right hand. All vote raise that hand. Ordinance passes. Unanimous. Okay, all right. I guess it's most serious, but we got the fun stuff. The Carl Mayer Memorial Caboose Remodeling Plan is still active. We're still working on caboose. And if you want to donate to it, contact the Historical Society or City Hall, which is both immediately. Okay, the Historical Society meets here, 4th Monday of the month at 7 o'clock. The Blue Ladies meeting this month on the 25th here. 12:30 lunch?
12 noon.
12,
lunch,
6:30.
6:30.
I got my Thursday in the wrong place.
Okay.
And Memorial Day celebration in Old Veterans Park on the 30th, starting at 10 o'clock. And as I understand, Doug Collins is going to be speaking. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we'll get a June committee meeting scheduled.
We talked about that after with Connie and Gene.
Now, we're down to citizen comments again. 3 minutes, man.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I don't have a comment so much as, I do have a question, Dennis, maybe you can answer this. The Carl Manger Memorial Caboose Remodeling Fund, every month it says $4,000 has been raised so far.
That's the most amount we've been
I've
told.
never collected that.
Well, we
Is
have
it
had
just
2,
pledged, or is it actually given? 'Cause I
we've been
don't have-
pledged $3,000, and we were told previously that y'all had raised over $1,000.
Yes, I can tell you to the penny what's in there.
Sure.
And we're gonna put more money in
But
this
we,
week.
we've said the same
But
thing.
that 4,000, I'm like, it makes me nervous when I see this amount, because I'm like, I've not seen $4,000 come through there, and I'm the treasurer, so
Well, they've been instructed to send y'all a check, and I will follow up with it.
Yeah, because I know it was pledged, and they said we should see it in April, and April has come and gone.
Well, haven't we heard that before? But
And I'm so nervous, you
well,
know?
Y'all checking on the mail, is it?
so, no, Riles Brothers have committed $1,500 as well as
Yeah,
the Ekman's family.
right, yeah.
So I would not question their intention,
I don't.
and I know you're not.
I
So
wonder
we'll just,
if they forgot us, or did maybe the city collect it and not tell me, because
I can assure
many
you,
of
the
you
city
know
hasn't
me, you know
collected.
me, you know,
Right.
I'm.
So tell us a
everything has
little
to
bit
be
about.
right on the penny, or I'm not comfortable.
So tell us a little bit about, because we've understood, y'all collect a little bit over $1,000, so tell us about how that's going. And we'll be back in contact with the Riles Brothers as well. As,
Okay, well, the money is just sitting in the account right now, so, I guess if you all ask us for money, I would give you a check for.
That's
the
the
account.
council. So how much have y'all collected?
Right now, I have $1,050.06 in the bank, and we're gonna put
Room for
$750
more.
in this week. We're not setting the world on fire, but we're doing the best we can.
Well, and hats off to the council, because they committed X amount of dollars up front, and I think we've all seen the benefits of their commitment already, so
It looks great.
anything after that,
It looks
good
great.
for us.
And I'll be happy to give it to you anytime you want it.
Yeah, so let's see what Park and Rec wants to do about that, because we'll be meeting with them as well, and let's see how they want to handle that.
Okay, every time I see that, I'm like, where is it?
Well, I know y'all raised money again over
Yeah.
railroad
At
days.
railroad days,
So,
We got $750 there.
according to Miss Greer.
Wow.
The little ladies, the
Yeah.
Manic
Our
Nancy,
little
bought
ladies.
$750. We are really excited.
We're thrilled about that.
Wow, we're excited for that.
I was able to buy some good stuff.
Thank y'all for your time. I just,
Oh, you're good.
okay, thank you. I forgot to tell you who it was.
We know.
Yeah.
Anybody's got any comments?
Citizen comment?
Lord, you've already been once, you need to go twice. Go ahead.
Okay. My personal feelings about the little city people and the little citizens. We are a city that believes in growth and development, not only for the present, but also for the future. We are obligated to set an example not only for the present youth of our city, but for what they will do as future generations of youth follow. We must create an example of love and compassion so that people will want to live and raise their children and have opportunities for education, employment, and other necessities of life. If we are able to show and tell people everywhere what kind of a city we have developed, we have accomplished the duties and the obligations both as elected officials and concerned citizens to showcase what a wonderful city we have to live in and raise future generations. Thank you.
Great job. Anybody else?
I have one before the council. The Lula Ladies has competition. They want to start a Lula Men's Club. And the idea behind the club is, we'll talk to Park and Rec about it, but I did want the council to know, was the idea is they would meet monthly and they would be a charitable venue that would look for opportunities in the community to help. Different scenarios of that. So we'll see. So we'll talk to the Park and Rec Committee, who just got that request late this afternoon. So apparently Lula Ladies made it quite successful in the manner they go out.
Oh my goodness, gang on. From my understanding, that group is gonna be called the Little Lads.
Cool.
We're gonna smoke cigars.
I'm just tickled that, there's that much community interest. That's all to
We're
it.
information girl, they can help us out too, right? All right, anybody got any? All right, council, let's go. Jody? You got any comments?
No, thank you.
All right, Pat, you got any comments?
Just thanks for everybody coming out on a beautiful evening. I know you could be other places.
Lane, you got anything you want to talk to us about? Lane? Okay, that's fine with this.
Just thank everybody that showed up.
Dean?
All I'm saying is thank y'all. We need more of y'all in here. I
Garnet?
think we get more in here than what we have.
Thank for the ones that's come. I don't understand why we've lost so many people. We need them back.
Must be that mayor. I do thank y'all. If y'all kind of invite some of your friends, and, we'll see if we can, of course, sometimes slow time anyway, so that's cool, I'm gonna blame on that this time. I want to thank y'all for coming, and, we're gonna go to the executive session to discuss language acquisition, get my big motion.
So,
Got a motion from Matt, and go to executive session.
Second.
That's second by Ernest Smith. All fair to executive session. Raise your hand. All vote, raise that hand. All right, we're gonna adjourn executive session. If I get a decision, we'll call you back